Good morning, Rabbi Isai. All right, Rabbi Isai, we're in the middle of a fascinating sugya, and that's the sugya of when a person eats 2 pieces of chaylev, is he chayev 1 malchus or 2 malchus? We saw in our Mishnah Machlokes, if a person is over and oisiv as benoi, which some of you, including Shmuel, had an issue with this. If a person shechs a mother, in other words, a grandmother, let's call her grandmother. Number 1 is grandmother, and number 2, he shechs the granddaughter. So at that point, he didn't do any isser, because he didn't shech a mother and a daughter. He shechted a mother, a grandmother, and a granddaughter. There's no isser to shech a grandmother and a granddaughter. This is a mother and a daughter. And then, step 3, he goes ahead and shechs the daughter, the middle one, the connector. There's a grandmother and a granddaughter, and then there's the mother in the middle. The mother is the daughter of the grandmother, and she's the mother of the granddaughter. Yeah? Sumcha says Yechayev 2. And the Gemara debates, Abaya asked the question, is it because in the entire Torah Yechayev 2, if you eat 2 pieces of chaylev, Yechayev 2? Or perhaps it's because this is a special case of a gufen mechulakin, we call it. Individual bodies, there are different isurim. There's the isur on the grandmother and the isur on the granddaughter. They're different isurim. And all the way at the end of Amud Beis, we brought another very interesting case where a person eats 2 gidim. He eats the gid anasha from the right side and the gid anasha from the left side. And according to Reb Yehuda, you get only 1 malchus. And the Gemara says, wait a minute, it's Asra Safek. Because according to Reb Yehuda, he's not sure which gid you're chayav on the right side or the left side. So when you gave the warning, it was a warning that was not accurate. You have to know what you're warning for. You don't know, is it the right side or the left side? So that's where we're holding all the way on the bottom, where perhaps it goes, there's another shita in Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Asra Safek, Shma Asra. You're asking me, how is it Asra? How is there a warning here, when in fact, you don't know what he's going to eat, and he doesn't know what he's going to eat, and you don't know what the Isra is on the right side or the left side? That's called Asra Safek, the Sanya. But Rabbi Yehuda holds in that case that Asra Safek is Asra. So, here we have an idea of Rabbi Yehuda saying that Asra, the warning, that's a suffix. You don't know 100%. What you're warning is still considered a good warning. The Sanya. It says by a carbon pesach, you should not leave over any of the carbon pesach, not even 1 drop. That's why you have to get used to eating kidneys and brains and sinews. You have to eat the entire thing. And then the Torah goes on. And what if you did leave over? There's a way out of it. There's a solution. We burn it. There's no malchus. There's a solution to the problem. Now, let's pause it for a second. This is difficult to understand. I want you to understand it, but it's a little tricky. When Eidim tells somebody, do not leave over any of the carbon pesach, is that Hasras Vadai or Hasras Safek? The answer is, it's Hasras Safek. Why? Because when is he doing it? What are they warning him? Don't leave over. But if they warn him at 12 o'clock at night, he still has all the way to the morning. He could say, I forgot. So 12 o'clock at night is not good. 1 o'clock is not good. 2 o'clock is not good. When is it good? 1 minute before the sun comes up. Then he could say, oh, it's too late. You didn't give me enough time. So at any given time, it's not a good Asra. Yet, Reb Yehuda says that he gets Malchus. So you see that Reb Yehuda holds, even in Asra Safek, you get Malchus. That's one sheet in Reb Yehuda. And so that would work with our Sugya. This is not the reason. All geschmack stuff. This is, you can't give somebody a beating, malchus, when he didn't do anything. What did he do? He didn't eat the Korban Pesach. You give malchus when somebody eats something that he's not allowed to eat. But when he doesn't eat, he's a Sheva al Taisa, you can't give him malchus on that. Okay? Tashma. I'm trying to figure out, can I give somebody malchus on two exact same isurim in one awareness? Unlike the case that we had earlier, where a guy ate the right gid anoshim, the left one over here is eating two rights from two different animals. In other words, it's like two pieces of chaylev. Over here he gets 80. He only gets 40. What's the case? If he got two warnings on these two gid anoshas, let me just show you gid anosha real quickly. We have it, might as well show it. It's unique to MDY. Our guys put this together. The blue, that's the gid anasha. There's some sinew over there. So, why would he only get 40 according to Reb Yehuda if he got two different warnings? So obviously he's talking about there was one warning and he ate them in one awareness. And who's the Tana? Man Tana Kamo, who's the one that says you get 80? If it's Rabbanan from our Mishnah, who stayed by our case, what's our case? Oisev is Benoi, that he shechted the grandmother, the granddaughter, and then he shechted the middle one, which is the connector between the grandmother and the granddaughter. So the Tana Kamo says, you only get one malchus. Sumcha says you get two. Now, our Mishnah has the most reason out of the entire Shas, the entire Torah, to say that you should get two. Why? Because it's two separate bodies. They're alive animals, and they're gufa muchalakim. Yet Rabbanan say you only get one malchus. So certainly, certainly in the case of dead sinews, they're not gufa muchalakim, and therefore you should only get one malchus according to Chacham. And Allah simplicity. So here I see Abaya has his Rebbe, Rav Yosef, the one who became blind and sick later on in life. He asked him, is the pshat in all of Shas do we say that Sumcha says there's two malchus? It's only over here in our Mishnah of Oisev is Benoi. And over here you see the answers in all of Shas. Even in the case of sinews, you get two malchus. Says no, it's not talking about a case where he ate it in one awareness. It's one after another. I'm sorry. It's bezachas. It's right. They're together. Well, the Kalaimers, my time of the Reb Yehuda, why would Reb Yehuda say you only get one malchus and not two? He going to less big kazais. We're talking about a case where there's no kazais. So what is there? If there's no kazais, why should it be chayev? Because it's a bria. He ate the entire. I'll give you an example. If a person eats a tiny little ant, is he chayev? It's less than a kazais. Of course he's chayev. Why? Because it's a creature. He ate an entire creature. So when you eat an entire sinew, entire gidadasha, you chayev. But there's no kazayis. Can go to the list of kazayis. It's not yachala and kazayis. Chayev. If you don't kazayis, Reb Yehuda argues and says no. By gidadasha, you have to eat a full kazayis. What I didn't understand, and I'm looking for an answer. So hopefully somebody sends in an answer. I searched a little bit today. I don't have all my svarim here, but my question is, if we're talking about a case where there's no kazayis, and Reb Yehuda says you're not chayev, and Chacham says you are chayev, so why are we talking about two animals? What was the point of having an argument in two animals? It should be an argument in one animal, and he ate less than kazayis. Reb Yehuda says you're not chayev, and Chacham says you're chayev. Why did they argue in two animals? I don't get it. I'm serious. It might be a dumb question. I don't know. I don't see anybody addressing it, so it's probably a really dumb question. Now, Rashi almost answered it. He says, but he doesn't like the pshat. He says that someone explained that it's a combination of the two sinews together create a kazayis. Now I understand why it's two animals. But he says, I don't like that pshat. So, being that he doesn't like the pshat, I don't have pshat. Says the Mishnah. Easy stuff, Rabbi said, easy stuff. There's 4 days of the year when the owner has to notify, if he sold the mother, he must notify the next guy when he's selling the baby that he sold the mother. Be careful, don't do shechita. Why? Because everybody's going to be shechting that day. Only 4 days of the year he must notify. I'm warning you right now, before you make this buy over here, I'm telling you, I just sold an hour ago, I sold the mother. So you're not going to be able to sell, you're not going to be able to shech and we learned, whoever buys first, shechs first. So I just sold the mother an hour ago, he has the right to shech today, you cannot shech the son today. So if you were to guess what are the 4 days of the year, you're probably not going to guess right. What do you think, Reb Eli Stefansky? What are the 4 days? He's already looking inside. I would say Erev Pesach, Erev Sukkot, Erev Shavuos, and Erev Rosh Hashanah. But the Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah says most of those, but not Erev Sukkot. Instead of Erev Sukkot, it's the last day of Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres, which is another Yom Tov by itself. And Taisus explains why. Veilein, Erev Yom Tov ha'achroin shel Chag. The last day, Shmini Atzeres, which is a Yom Tov on its own, that's a day that there's a lot of meat. Says Taisus, why? Why not the first day? So Taisus says, V'ha d'lei choshev hacha Erev Yom Tov rishon shel Chag, or Erev Tam, mishum de kul yam treated besukkah v'lulav, ve'ein lam pnai laharbois b'shchita kol kach. Because they're too busy with the lulav and the esrog and building a sukkah. So there's not a lot of shchitas going on. So you're good. Interesting, even though it's Yom Tov, but Shmini Atzeres, that's a big one. Oh, the Erev Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach, and the first day of Pesach, of course, big day of meat. The Erev Atzeres and Erev Shavuos, the Erev Rosh Hashanah, it's also a big Yom Tov. Ukedivri Reb Yossi Aglili, Af Erev Yom Kippurim Bagalil. And according to Reb Yossi Aglili, I love it. His name is Glili and in Galil. Reb Yossi Aglili says that also Erev Yom Kippur, where we know there's a big mitzvah to eat as much as you can. Every bite you take is a mitzvah. So there was a lot of meat going on. Now the question is, why, if it's such a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur, how come only Reb Yossi Aglili says it? How come the Tanna Kam in the Mishnah doesn't bring it down as number 5? There's only 4. So Taisus says something very important. V'omer Rabbeinu Tam, the Bishar Erev Yom Tov, shoichtem behemis k'namir nocha, aval Erev Yom Kippur, lo yoichlem ela basar oif v'dagim. On Erev Yom Kippur, in the rest of, only in Galil they would eat meat, in the rest they would eat chicken. Basar oif is chicken. And fish. Okay? So that explains it. Zog the Mishnah, Omer Rabbi Yehuda. When do you have to notify the second guy that he sold, that the seller has to notify that he sold the mother to somebody else, or he sold the son to somebody else? When there's no opportunity to shech, let's say he sold it yesterday, so the guy had an opportunity to shech the day before, you don't have to notify. If the chassan's mishpacha comes to the dealer and says, I need an animal. So he sells him the mother. Then the cow's family shows up. So the seller has to say, hey, your chassan was just here 10 minutes ago and he bought the mother. Be careful, you can't shech this. So the Gemara is going to say, what's the chiddush? Well, okay, so, fine. When you know that 2 people are going to shech, a mother and a daughter, you should notify them. You should know they both intend to shech the animal the same day. Says the Mishnah Barabah, the way it used to work is that it's not like today. Today we have it good. You go into the store, you want to buy a pound of meat, you buy a pound of meat. You don't want to buy, you don't buy. In those days, you had to prepay. You go to the guy that owns the animal and say, listen, I want to be part of this animal. Here's $100. When Sukkot shows up, it could be 2 weeks in advance, 3 months in advance, who knows? It wasn't like on the spot. So if I give money to this owner of the animal to be part of his animal, I bought 1 pound in a 2,000 pound animal, I can force him to shecht his animal for my 1 pound. Doesn't sound fair, but that's how it is. I'm a partner. Even though he only has 1 dinar out of 1,000, you force the seller to shech. Since I'm a partner in this animal, and this animal died, I lost my money. But the rest of the year, not these 4 days, it's not like so. If the animal dies, I'm not really a partner. Then the seller takes responsibility and the buyer doesn't lose his money. Tana, and if the seller didn't notify anybody about the different sale, you don't have to worry. You don't have to sit back and go, maybe the mother was shechted today. That's already a sveka. I don't know if there is a mother. I don't know if she was shechted today. I don't know if she was yesterday. You don't have to worry about these things. Why do we have to talk about a chasana? Exact opposite of what we do today. What's the minhag today? The predominant minhag in Klal Yisrael today, for the most part, not in all societies, but in a lot, the girl takes care of the wedding for the most part, right? Was it your daughters that you made weddings? Mostly the daughters. Hey, the chassan pitches in, sometimes it's flop, sometimes it's not, but, right? This whole idea of flop is chassan takes care of flop, kal takes care of the chassan. Gemara says it's the opposite. The chassan takes care of most of the wedding. The derech eretz, the way it works usually is that the chassan takes care more than the kala. So now the Gemara goes into, by the way, there's a Mishnah coming up, Geshmak, every 2 minutes is another Mishnah, but there's a Geshmak Sugya. The Gemara asks, how does one become a partner in the animal if he didn't perform Meshicha? Meshicha means to pull the animal. Usually, today especially, you go to the store, you buy with money. Money is not a real kinyan according to Chachamim. Minatayra, Midaraisa, money does do a kinyan. But you have to schlep it, you have to pull it to you, and he didn't do it. There's no Meshicha. Okay, so we're talking about that he did do Meshicha. Oh, I knew you were going to answer that. It says in the continuation of the Mishnah that the guy is not an owner of the animal the rest of the year. It's only these 4 days. But if he did Meshicha, why shouldn't he be an owner? Then that's why the seller has to take full responsibility. But Mashach, he pulled it. Once he pulled it, he became a partner. You're right. There's no Meshicha. A third person comes along. We have Yesod Zachin la'adam shloi b'fanav. If I find $1,000 on the floor, I can lift it up, thinking that you are going to be the new owner of this $1,000. Why? Because $1,000 is a good thing for you to have. So I could do a kinyan if it's a bad thing. Let's say it's a get for a woman. It's bad for her to be divorced. So I cannot do a kinyan. So, since this person really needs me before Yontif, a third person doesn't even have to ask questions. He can do the kinyan for him. Since it's chus, I can do the kinyan without him. This is fascinating. I can't say that I understand it, but I'm just going to say a little bit that I understand. Since it's not the best thing for this guy to have extra cholesterol on his body, and maybe he's making unnecessary purchases, putting him in debt. I don't know what the thing is. So it's not really a schus for him. It's more like a woman who says she wants to get divorced, and she really wants the get, but it's bad for her. So you're not kind of for her. The guy said he wants to meet. No. It's not good for him. It's a chayv. For whatever reason, it's a chayv. And therefore, a third party cannot make a kinyan for him. No, the Torah says that money makes a kinyan. Chacham came along and said money should not work, and the Gemara tells us the reason. But now, because it's Erev Yontif, money works. We're going back to the original Torah that money works. In fact, money does really work as a kinyan. You could acquire things with money, like we do today. We buy stuff in the store. We buy cars with money. You don't have to make a Mashiach. Why is it that they instituted Mashiach? You have to pull the product in order to be kaina? If you're relaxed and you only purchase things with money, then if you buy something from someone who doesn't give you the product, let's say you buy a bunch of wheat. He says, I'll give it to you next week. I have a delivery coming next week. Meanwhile, it's yours. I'm just going to keep it in my storage facility. And then a Ukrainian drone comes. The guy says, I don't care. I'm not going to save it. Let it burn to the ground. I already got my money. It's not mine. It's his. So it burned. Says the Mishnah. I think everybody, if they had assume, they would assume what the Mishnah is saying now. There's a 24-hour period that when you shech the mother, you can't shech the son. When does the 24-hour period start? The Mishnah says like Shabbos. Like a bar mitzvah, like everything in Judaism, basically. When does Shabbos start? Friday night. Goes from the night to Matzah Shabbos to the night. Not from the morning to the morning, from the night to the night. And he had a drasha, Reb Shimon ben Zoma. Never ma'aseh bereishis yoim echad. It says in the Torah, when it comes to sheishis and mei bereishis, what does it say? Vayikra Elokim la'or yoim v'la'choshech kor halayla. Vayi erev, vayi voiker yoim echad. What came first? Erev. First comes erev, then comes voiker. Yoim hoylech achar halayla, it's called. The day comes after the night. Vayi erev, and then afterwards comes the day. Vayi voiker. So in Mela, since it says yoim echad by ma'aseh bereishis, those are the last two words in that pasuk, and it says the same words by Yosef his benoi. Whenever by Yosef his benoi yoim echad, ma yoim echad omer ma'aseh bereishis hayoim hoylech achar halayla. We see by ma'aseh bereishis vayi erev and only then voiker. Yoim echad omer by Yosef his benoi hayoim hoylech achar halayla. It's a big nafkamina. You shecht an animal at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You could shecht the sun 8-9 hours later after Shkia, because it goes by the night. So it's from night to night, not day to day. Maybe what I just said is shtusen. Hold on a second. Starts from there within that day. So I'm not sure. I think so. Okay. Tana Rabbana. Ezu Dorish Reb Shimon ben Zoma Lefisha Kolai Inyan Kulei Enu Medaber Lebi Kadashim. Oiz Vezbenoi is talking in Kachim, in the Korbanos. B'Kadashim u'B'Kadashim Lai Lo Hilech Achar Hayoim. When it comes to Korbanos, it's the opposite. It says V'Sar Zevach Tayz Shlama B'Yom Korbani Yochel Lo Yaniach Mimenu Ad Boiker. You should not leave anything over until the morning. In other words, the Lai Lo Hilech Achar Hayoim, first comes the morning. Ad Boiker goes from morning to morning. So I think by Yosef is Benoi also. Yochel Zekein Nemakan Yom Echad Nemali Ma'aseh Bereishis Yom Echad. Ma Yom Echad Omer Ma'aseh Bereishis Hayom Achar Halaylo. Yom Echad Omer B'Yosef Yom Hayom Hoylech Achar Halaylo. That's why I have the drasha that goes. We learn from Ma'aseh Bereishis, not from a Karban Daf. The Gimel Amud Beis. Rebbe Yomer Yom Echad Yom Hamiyuchad. Rebbe learns, in addition to what we just said, a Yom Echad, that the day starts at night. It also comes to tell us it's a special day. Yom HaMiyuchad, Ton Karuz. You have to make an announcement. Mikan Amru, Barba Progam Meshana, Amoicher Behem El-Chaver, Yitzorch Lo. You must announce and tell people that you sold the mother, and therefore be careful if you're buying the son, or vice versa. I sold the son. If you're buying the mother, you should know that you can't shecht it today. Hadron Allah Choysev Es Benoi, Hadron Allah Choysev Es Benoi, Hadron Allah Oisoi Es Benoi. So we spoke about this just recently. Here's the pasuk. This is the new parak called Kisui Hadam. Kisui Hadam is the mitzvah to cover the blood. Of what? If he traps a wild animal, a chaya or a bird, so the mitzvah of Kisui Hadam, as we know, is only on a chaya, like a deer, a kudu, a buffalo, a bison, a wildebeest, Kisui Hadam. But not on a cow, and not on a sheep, and not on a goat. For all birds. So today, when you go to shachlis, the shach birds, you see it also by kaparas or whatever, they sprinkle the sand on top. Now, as we learned, and we're going to see in the Gemara, there has to be a layer on the bottom as well. There's one layer on the bottom, the blood on top, and then a final layer. So it's a sandwich. So Kisui Hadam noig ba'aretz u'b'chutz la'aretz. This mitzvah of covering the blood is not only in Eretz Yisrael, it's a chutz la'aretz also. B'fnei habayis, v'shloi b'fnei habayis. We're talking about the Beis Hamikdash on Tisha B'Av, on Mamish. That was Erev Tisha B'Av. Talking about the Churban habayis. When there's a Beis Hamikdash and no Beis Hamikdash. B'chulin avaloi b'mugdashim. We're only talking about birds, correct? We're only talking about birds. And the question is, why not? Why can't you do? Why is there no chiyuv? So what if there's malika? There's blood, and you should cover the blood. Who said it has to do with shchita? It doesn't say anywhere in the pasuk. It says, "V'ish ish mebnei Yisrael minager." Birds need what do you call it? It doesn't say anything about malika or shchita. So I don't see why it shouldn't need it. So the Gemara is going to explain why. Only in a wild animal and a bird. Whether you have it already trapped, you have to go out and catch it like a deer. You usually don't have one waiting around in your yard. You have to go and trap it. This is the mission that we had just recently. Koi is an animal that we don't know if it's a behema or a chaya. One shita is that the mother is a deer and the father is a goat. At the end we said really it's the opposite, that the father is a deer and the mother is a goat. That's one shita. The other shita was that it's actually a min b'fnei atzmo. It's like a kudu. It's called a kai. It's not something that you made today, a klayim today. It's thousands of years. It's since Ma'aser Bereishis. It's a special. It's its own breed. So you have to do Kisui Hadam on a kai because we don't know if it's a chay or a behema. You shouldn't shecht a kai or kvi on yontif. Why? Because maybe it's not a chaya, and if it's not a chaya, you shouldn't be doing Kisui Hadam. And you'd be over on Isra Yontif. So, and if you did shech, you shouldn't do Kisui Hadam. Says the Gemara, why, when it comes to, I don't know if I said it in the Mishnah, so I'll say, I did kind of started saying it, I don't know. The whole idea of Kisui Hadam is only by mundane animals, not in the Beis Hamikdash. Anything, korbanos in the Beis Hamikdash, no. So ask the Gemara, why not? You have to do 2 layers. You have to make a sandwich out of the dirt. It says in the pasuk you should cover it in the dirt. In. It should be inside the dirt. It has to be 2 layers of dirt on the bottom and on the top. So what does it do with the Beis Hamikdash? It's impossible to do 2 layers in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? How should you do it? You're spraying this blood of the bird. Where do you put the blood of the bird? On the mizbeach. How are you going to add a layer of dirt on the mizbeach? If you add it and you want it to be part of the mizbeach, now you just add it to the width of the mizbeach, and you're not allowed to do that. And if you don't add it to the mizbeach, then it becomes a chatzitza between the mizbeach and the blood. You have to throw the blood on the mizbeach itself. It has to touch directly on the mizbeach. You can't put a plastic bag on the mizbeach. That would be a chatzitza. You can't put a layer of dirt on the mizbeach. That would be a chatzitza. So the Gemara says inside, put the dirt on the mizbeach and say that it's bottled to the mizbeach. Now you're making the building of the mizbeach larger. the size of the kli larger. Uchsiv hakoil b'chsav miyad Hashem olay hiskil. It's exact measurements. You can't add even a millimeter. Lo levakli have chatzitza. And if you don't do bittul and say the dirt is part of the mizbech, then now you have something that's interfering, or what's the word in English? Interposition. Okay, that's a very, very art scrollish word. Interposition. There's what's a better, simpler word? No. Interruption, maybe. The interruption between the mizbeach and the blood. You're right. In the Beis Hamikdash, you can't add a layer of dirt on the mizbeach itself. That's a problem. But once you spray and sprinkle the blood of the bird on the mizbeach, so cover with dirt. So what are you going to say? You say, no, but the chiyuv is be'ofer. 2 layers, one on the bottom, one on the top. 1 layer is not enough. Miloi Tanya. You could do Miloi Tanya. What if you have 2 layers of blood on the floor? First you shechted a chaya, you have to do kisei dam. But then you shechted a behema on top of that, and the blood covered the chaya, so now you can't do kisei dam. Patur melechases. Not that he did the mitzvah, no mitzvah here, but there's no chiyuv to do any kisei dam. Why? Because there's an interposition of the behema blood on top of the chaya blood. Behema v'chaya, but what if the first layer is that of a behema? And then he put on top of that the blood of a chaya. Chaya v'chases, you have to do kisei dam. Why? What's the problem here? The problem is that there's no dirt on the bottom. What's on the bottom? Blood of a behema. That's not what we need. We need a sandwich. We need dirt on the bottom, dirt on the top. So you see that it's enough to put 1 layer on top. So the Gemara answers. What's the Gemara's question? You see that 1 layer is enough. How do you see that if you have blood on the floor and you put chaya blood on top of that blood, all you need is 1 layer. So in the mizbech also, all you need to do is 1 layer. What's the answer to the question? That one of the most famous yesodis in all of Shas. Kolaroyu lebila ein bila ma'keves. What does that mean? There's a concept. Not here. When we learned Menachos, we learned this. That what? The most you could ever put in a mincha is 60 Yisraelim. Not 61. Why? Because you cannot mix a 61 Yisraelim batter. As the Gemara, but you don't have to mix it. The halacha is that if you forget to mix it, whatever, it's a good mincha. So why can't you do 61 Yisraelim? Says Reb Zera, the famous Yisrael in all Shas, in all of life. If you could do it, then you don't have to do it. But if you can't do it, because it's 61 Yisraelim, it's not physically possible to mix it, then it's a problem that you didn't mix it. The same thing over here. If you could put 2 layers of dirt and you don't, so you yaitza. But if you're on the mizbeach and you cannot put 2 layers of dirt, why? Because it's impossible to put the bottom layer. Then it's a problem that you didn't do the 2 layers. You have to be able to do 2 layers, and then if you don't do 2 layers, it's okay. But if you're not able to do 2 layers, on the mizbeach you can't do 2 layers, then I'm going to hold you to it. If you could mix it, then it's not makev, then you don't have to mix it. But if it's 61, 62 Yisraelim and you can't mix it, bila makev boy, then the bila is going to be a problem. As the Gemara so scrape it off the mizbeach and put it on top of a pile of dirt on the ground. Didn't we learn? If you have blood on a knife, you have to do, what do? You scrape off the blood from the knife, put it on a pile of dirt, and then make a sandwich, and you're good. So you should scrape off the blood from the mizbeach and put it on a pile of dirt. Says the Gemara, if we're talking about a carbon, you're right. Finally, the Gemara says everything that we learned is not true. We're talking about not a carbon. We're talking about that the Beis Hamikdash, somebody donated a nice sheep to the Beis Hamikdash for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash, not the shecht. And you went and you shechted it, which is also for you to shecht, it becomes also ba'ana. Memela, it's a shechita that's not matr the basar. Remember, we said that in order to do kisei adam, it has to be that you could eat it. What's the lashon in the pasuk again? It says, Asher Yeyachel. You see this? Right where it says in red, Asher Yeyachel, that you can eat. But if you stole something from the Beis Hamikdash and you shechted it, you can't eat it. It says, no. So you don't have to do kisei dam. As the Gemara at the top of Peidal and Aleph, let him redeem it and then cover it. Says the Gemara, you can't redeem it. Why? Be'inin ha'amoda v'haracha. That's tomorrow's sugi a little bit. That you need to be able to appraise it. So you have to stand it up and appraise it in order to redeem it. And guess what? This animal is dead. It can't stand any longer. The dead animal can't stand up. So if it can't stand, you don't have to appraise it. You can't appraise it. And therefore you can't redeem it. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day, night.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.